Thank you, Speaker. My question's to the Premier. Premier, last month, Ontario lost 31,000 full-time jobs. In May was the 65th consecutive month that Ontario's lagged Canada in job creation. The Premier has failed to take action on Ontario's jobs crisis and instead struck yet another panel to talk about it. Last Friday, the Premier announced that CAW economist Jim Stansford would be sitting on this panel. The same Jim Stansford who has a chapter in his book entitled Replacing Capitalism. Will this Premier explain why he has made Jim Stansford his jobs advisor?
Premier.
Speaker to the Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I think Jim Stanford's a great Canadian who has a lot to offer this country. I may not agree with him, but you know what? Stop trashing good citizens of this province and country who dedicate and volunteer their service, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud that John Snowbelin is helping us with the horse racing industry, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud that Jake Epp is the chair of Ontario Power Generation, Mr. Speaker. You know what? Instead of that negative, attacking Ontarians, vote for the Southwest Ontario Economic Development Fund today. Let's work together to create jobs. Let's stop name-calling and let's stop demonizing the people that we don't agree with. Let's work together for a better future for all Ontarians. Doing that will pass the Southwest Economic Development Fund, and thank God people like Jim have stood up in support of that.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Back to the Premier. If you want to stop trashing Ontarians, stop trashing the doctors. Stop trashing the Ontario horse race industry. Stop trashing Ontario breeders. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals clearly have no plan to tackle Ontario's jobs crisis. They brought in CAW economist Jim Stansford to advise on jobs, a man in his book who condemns, quote, the continuing scandalous future failure of capitalism. Does this Premier accept Jim Stansford's position on capitalism? If not, why has the Premier brought in Jim Stansford as a jobs advisor?
Mr. Speaker, the members' constituents who work for and in the auto sector ought to be listening very carefully. And they ought to be, you know, Mr. Speaker, it is about respect, and we all work together in this province. Our Jobs and Growth Council, Mr. Speaker, is composed of people from all walks of life, Mr. Speaker. We have the head of a bank, a union economist. We have a number of people from the manufacturing sector, Mr. Speaker. These are all people who want to give back to their province and their country. We think that's important, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker—
Stop the clock. That's been said twice, and the member from Bruce Grey Owen Sound will withdraw. No, you stand and withdraw.
Withdraw. We look forward to that.
Sir.
Speaker, these people are all volunteering, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank John Tory, the former leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, for working with us in Ontario Place. Mr. Speaker, we can all work together. That kind of attitude sets Ontario back. We're prepared to work with all Ontarians for a better future for Ontario.
The member from